All right, before we get into trapezoids, though, I want to talk about a different shape. Talk about a triangle. What's the area formula for that shape? Blake?
A equals base times height divided by 2.
A equals base times height divided by 2. If I took the top of this triangle off, and do that with some scissors real quick, what shape did I just create? A trapezoid. So, does it make sense that if I started with a triangle and I made a trapezoid, that those formulas are going to look kind of similar? Right? Now, the trapezoid, I'm sure some of y'all are looking over here to the side and seeing it doesn't look very similar. It looks like real different, doesn't it? The reasoning behind that is because the trapezoid has this base, which doesn't have to be on the bottom, but in this case we'll say the base is on the bottom. And we'll say that's the base. All right. Does the base on the bottom match the base on the top? No. And I want you to think for a moment, and I'm going way back to a parallelogram. On a parallelogram, does the bottom match the top? Yes. So I only have the one base because it's really the top and the bottom, correct? Yes. A triangle has a base. Is there anything on top of that base, though? No. On a triangle, that base came to a point. Do y'all agree? When we're looking at a trapezoid, we have the base on the bottom, but do you see how it also creates a flat spot on the top? And this time, are those two flat spots the same? No. So on a parallelogram, they match, so I only have to worry about one base. On a trapezoid, since these two bases are different, we have one base on the bottom, or on the side, and then we have another base going across from it. Okay? So we call this base, base 1. The subscript, this means that it's different from the top. All right? So you'll notice there's a 1 down at the bottom and a 2 down at the bottom here. That just means this one is different from that one. All right? You do not do anything with those numbers. Is it a regular 1 and a 2? No. Is it an exponent? No, because an exponent would be up at the top. This is called a subscript. And what a subscript does is it just distinguishes them as being different. Okay? So I want us to write down this formula. We're still going to have base and height. But this time, when I talk about the base, I have to put base 1 and base 2 together. I'm still going to multiply times the height. I'm still going to divide by 2. This formula is the one people have the most trouble remembering. I just wanted us to see. I know it looks more complicated, but it's still base times height. Parallelogram was base times height. Triangle was base times height divided by 2. A trapezoid is just both of your bases times the height divided by 2. Do y'all see that relationship? Yeah. A lot of times, guys, if we know the relationship, it helps us to remember the formula. On Friday, what am I doing? What do you have on Friday?
Quiz.
You have a quiz on just the formulas. So on Friday, for the quiz, you'll get a sheet of paper. And the first shape on that piece of paper might look like that. What's the formula for that? Megan?
A equals L.
A equals LW. And you'll write down A equals LW. The next shape might look like that. What's my formula for that shape? Jake?
A equals base times height divided by 2.
A equals BH divided by 2. The next shape might be that. What's that formula, Traven?
A equals base 1 plus base 2 times H.
Base 1 plus base 2 times the H. Don't forget.
Divided by 2.
Divided by 2. And then your last shape could be that. And that formula is? Megan?
I have a question.
Yes.
About the one before, could there be like 3 bases?
Nope, because these are the 2 lines that are going the same direction. That's a really good question. The way I know that as a trapezoid is those 2 are going the same direction. Is this one going in the same direction as anything else? No. Is this one going in the same direction as anything else? No. So those would have to be my bases there. Good question. And then we had our parallelogram here, which is A equals BH. All right? Right now there's a chart on the wall. Do you think that chart's going to be there on Friday?
No.
No. All right, that chart's there right now, so if you need to look at them, they're there. They're available for you. But on Friday, you have to be able to know them on your own without looking at the chart. All right? Tomorrow, we'll do a little review where you'll practice all of your shapes. There's going to be a spot tomorrow for you to write down the formula. I would try to write all of your formulas without looking at anything else and then go back and check and see if they're right. If you got them all right, are you ready for the quiz?
Yes.
Yes. If you missed any of them, then that means you need to study. What's a good way to study your formulas?
Flashcards.
Flashcards. All right? I didn't send out a Quizlet, guys, because Quizlet doesn't let me type these formulas in. They got too much math going on, all right? But you could make flashcards easily on your own with a piece of paper, cut it into 4 sections, write the formula on one side, the name on the other, or draw the shape on the other, okay? Questions about that? Good? Okay. So let's talk about some of these examples today. All right, please remember B1 and B2, the way that we determine which ones are my bases are the ones that are parallel, which means they have to be going in the same direction. Is it always going to be top and bottom? No. Unfortunately, I didn't think this through because in our notes, all of them are top and bottom. Okay. On your homework, there are at least one problem. There might be a couple of problems that are not top and bottom. Just make sure they're going the same direction. Also, remember, H is going to be connecting the bases, and it's going to have a right angle. It can't be slanted. You can get it when we finish notes. Should have gotten that when we came back from lunch. Okay. All right. What's the very first thing that I need to write down for every single problem, Megan?
The formula.
The formula. So for number 1, I know this is a trapezoid. So I'm going to write down A equals base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. So I wrote it kind of small. All right, just to make sure I have room to actually work the math part out. Okay. You need to have that 1 and that 2 there. Make sure you have those. Make sure that you're adding them. Okay. For number 1, what do you think the bases are going to be on number 1? Megan?
7 feet and 11.
7 and 11. Could I have done 11 and 7? Yeah, so in this case, it is the top and the bottom. What's going to be my height there, Megan?
7 feet.
7. It's the one connecting them with the right angle. So I'm going to put 7 next to that, divided by
2.
2. All right, so I have my formula. I have my formula with the numbers. Now I need to talk about how to work that out. All right, so obviously, if I just look at that, and I can tell it says 7 plus 11. Then what does that mean if they're next to each other? Times 7, and then we have divided by 2. Y'all agree with that? All right, here's the issue, guys. Does my calculator do everything perfectly for me? No, in fact, this gave me 45.5. I'm just going to go and tell you that's not the right answer. What should I have done first in the calculator? What do I know, being someone that's taken lots of math classes, what do you know that you have to do first in these operations? Kiana?
You should do 7 plus 11 first.
Yeah, so we're going to do my 7 plus 11. I'm going to go ahead and work that out. Actually, I'm going to let the calculator do it by pushing equals. Now what do I need to do with that number? Megan? Now, do I have to retype my 18? No, I can just hit times 7 and hit equals. Now, can I divide that by 2?
Yes.
And what do I get? 63. That's the correct answer. Just because you have a calculator, does that guarantee you're getting the right answer? No. You still have to know how to use it properly. Okay? So, my suggestion, just type it in one thing at a time. All right? That's not the only way that you can type this as a calculator and get the correct answer. But in the future, are you always going to have a calculator in front of you? No. So we do want to make sure that we're able to do this in the correct order. So if we did have to work it on our own, we would know what steps to follow. Okay? So my answer here is going to be 63 what? Feet squared. Okay. Number 2, formula. A equals base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. What are my bases on number 2? Owen? 5 and 7.5. And what's my height? 6. And then we have divided by 2. Remember, when I'm saying the numbers, I'm not asking for your math. Your calculator can do that for you. I'm asking to show where the numbers go in the formula. All right, raise your hand if you've worked that out. What do we get when we work that one out? All right, Kiana?
I got 37.5.
37.5. Can I use the decimal here?
Yes.
Yes, there's a decimal in the problem, so I can put a decimal in my answer. If there was not a decimal, I would need to write it as a fraction. Don't forget, we need inches squared. Okay. All right, Kiana, thank you for the answer. I'm going to need someone else to give me the next answer. Megan, do you have a question?
Yeah. So, wait. If the problem doesn't have any decimals or fractions in it, do you just get to choose even up with some of those?
If the problem is whole numbers, you can have a whole number as an answer, or I would expect you to write your answer with a fraction. Okay, you can only have a decimal if there is a decimal. All right, good question, Megan. Thank you for helping us clarify. All right, so on number 3, what shape is that? Trapezoid. So I have B1 plus B2 times D, height, divided by 2. All right, Draven, on number 3, what are my bases?
33.6 and 6.3.
3.6 plus 6.3. And what's my height, Draven?
4.
4. Divided by 2. Okay, looking for a new hand. Who can tell me what that answer is going to give me? Samantha?
19.8 meters squared.
19.8 meters squared. Thank you for including that measurement. Excellent job. Okay. All right, moving down to the next ones. What shape is number 4? Trapezoid. So we have A equals base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. Okay. What are my bases on number 4, Janess?
14.3 and 18.4.
14.3 and 18.4. And what's my height?
12.
12. Very good. Don't forget to divide by 2. Okay. And some of us realize on our homework it's really easy to leave that last step off. So make sure we have that one written down so remember to type it in. Raise your hand if you have an answer. Looking for a new hand. Anna Kate. 16.35 centimeters squared. Do we agree?
Yes.
Y'all sure?
Yes. I don't know how to do mine.
Mm.
Yes. I feel like that's like how teachers trick you.
What I'm thinking you did, Anna Kate, I don't think you remembered to multiply it times the 12. I think you added and divided. Blake?
196.2.
196.2 centimeters squared. Just because you have a calculator, is that going to guarantee the right answer? Do you still have to double check what you're typing in?
Yes.
All right. So Anna Kate did everything right. She just left out the 12. All right. So just make sure you're being careful as you type it in. Thank you, Anna Kate, for making that mistake. It was a good learning thing for all of us. All right. Number 5. What shape is that? Trapezoid. So we have A equals base 1 plus
Base 2.
times
5.
the height divided by 2. Okay. What are my bases going to be for number 5? Hannah?
9 yards and 4 yards.
9 and 4. All right, Hannah, what is going to be my height? 5?
3.5.
Why would it be 3.5 and not 5? Yeah, it's slanted. Do you tell your height by leaning on the wall? No, you have to stand straight up and down. So number 5 was there to trick you. All right, don't forget to put your divided by 2. All right. Raise your hand if you think you got this answer. Michael? 22 and 3/4. What goes with that? Yard squared. Do we agree?
Wait, I forgot which button was the fraction button.
The ABC button.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Questions about number 5. All right. Number 6. What shape do we have? Rectangle. Are you sure?
Yes. Yes.
No. Trapezoid.
No.
Why, Megan?
Because they're different. You can see the numbers.
You can see the numbers here. And on a rectangle, my top and bottom numbers have to be the same. Are those the same?
No.
Are they different by a lot? In fact, they're really, really close to each other, which is why it looks like a rectangle, because it's almost a rectangle. But it's not. It's barely slanted. It's probably so slanted that if we were just going through this quickly, we wouldn't have noticed. All right? So make sure we slow down and look at the numbers, because if I started doing this as a rectangle and I wanted to figure out the length and the height, do I only have 2 numbers to choose from? For a rectangle? I got 3 numbers. Isn't that a pretty good clue? This is not a rectangle. Okay. So we're going to use our trapezoid formula because my 2 bases are a little bit different. Base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. Okay. So what are my 2 bases here, Allison? 9.8 plus 10.1, and my height? 7 divided by 2. All right, raise your hand if you have this answer. Jared?
69.85.
What goes with that? Millimeters squared. Okay, questions about number 6? Number 7 says find the area of the figure that is formed by 2 congruent trapezoids. What does the word congruent mean? Megan?
Same.
The same. 2 congruent trapezoids means they're the same. So let's call this trapezoid 1. And let's call this trapezoid 2. Okay. We're going to start with trapezoid 1. Alright, I know my formula is A equals base 1. I'm writing real small to make room. Base 2 times the height divided by 2. For my first trapezoid, what are my bases? Ileana? 3 and 9. So I have 3 plus 9. That says 9 plus 9. Let me fix that. 3 plus 9. What is my height going to be there, Tristan?
4.
All right, where are you getting a 4? Because I don't see a 4 here.
Because it's the half of...
It says these 2 are equal, and I know the whole thing is 8, so if we do half, that's going to give me 4 on top and 4 on the bottom. Guys, if it did not tell me they were the same, I could not assume that they're equal. 1 could be 3, 1 could be 5. But if they're the same, then they have to be equal. They have to match. So I'm going to say my height is 4. Very good. Divided by 2. So what do I get for my area for trapezoid 1? Blake?
24 millimeters.
24, just meters squared. All right, let's look at trapezoid 2. What are we going to get for trapezoid 2? Joel? The same. Do I need to work it out? No, I know they're congruent, so I know trapezoid 2 is also 24 millimeters squared. What would I need to do to find the entire area? Megan?
Add them.
I would add them, and that would give me 48 millimeters or meters squared. Okay? Guys, this is going to be a big thing on your test. We're going to have shapes like this. If I'm putting shapes together, does that make sense that I'm adding them?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. If I'm making a hole, if I'm making a white space and taking a shape out, Does that make sense that that would be subtraction? We're going to have to be able to tell the difference on the test that's coming up on Friday next week. Okay? On Monday, we're going to talk about something called compound shapes. Someone tell me, what is a compound sentence? Hannah. Two sentences put together. So a compound shape is two shapes that are put together. Spoiler, that's what we're doing on Monday. So you have to know when you're taking a shape out, which is when we have that white space inside, and you have to know when we're putting it together is when they're connecting. This is addition. The white space means it's subtraction. We're taking it out. Okay, are y'all okay with that information I just kind of threw at you? All right. Remember, guys, this homework down here that's at the bottom, we're not doing that. I made a worksheet for you. So I'm going to pass that out for us to get started on.